The official report says we found Noah Vale's radio at 2:17 in the morning. That part is true. What the report leaves out is that we had been hearing Noah through that radio for almost an hour, and that, by the time we found him, he had not spoken in 2 days. My name is Cole Mercer. For 11 years, I volunteered with search and rescue in Black Ridge County, West Virginia. Most of our calls were ordinary. Lost hikers, injured hunters, teenagers who wandered off a marked trail because their phones told them there was a shortcut. The mountains usually gave people back. Sometimes cold, sometimes hurt, sometimes embarrassed, but they usually came back. Hollow Creek was different. People around Black Ridge had older names for it, but they never used them around outsiders. They just called it the Hollow. And when someone disappeared there, the local volunteers always asked the same question. Did they hear someone calling their name? The call came in on a Thursday night in November. A 29-year-old hiker named Noah Vale had failed to return from a solo overnight trip. His sister said he was experienced. He had proper equipment, printed maps, a satellite beacon, and a handheld radio. His final phone location placed him near the northern end of Hollow Creek Trail. That trail had been officially closed for 6 years. A landslide had washed out a section near the creek, but hikers still slipped around the barricade. By 9 that evening, the temperature had dropped below freezing. Rain had turned into a wet, weightless fog that settled between the trees. There were 5 of us on the first team. Deputy Martin Holt, Mara Vance, our medic, Eli Warren, who had joined the unit less than 3 months earlier, Ray Sutter, a retired forestry technician who knew every ridge in the county, and me. Ray was 63 then. He had spent most of his life in those mountains and had the habit of stopping before everyone else whenever something felt wrong. He would not explain it. He would simply raise one hand and listen. Before we entered the trail, Ray took the radio from Eli's vest and checked the channel. Then he looked at each of us. "Call signs only," he said. Holt asked what he meant. Ray pointed at the dark line of trees beyond the barricade. "If you hear someone on the radio and they don't start with your call sign, you do not answer." Eli smiled. He thought Ray was testing him. "So if Noah calls for help, we ignore him?" "If he has your frequency, he'll know procedure." "And if he doesn't?" Ray looked into the fog. "Then he isn't talking to us." No one laughed after that. We crossed the barricade at 9:43. For the first mile, nothing seemed unusual. Our lights moved over wet leaves, exposed roots, and faded trail markers. The creek was somewhere below us, hidden by the slope. We could hear it, but the sound was wrong. Instead of flowing continuously, it came in short bursts. Water for a few seconds. Silence. Then water again. It sounded like someone repeatedly opening and closing a door. At 10:20, Mara found the first sign. A fresh boot print at the edge of the trail. The tread matched the photograph Noah's sister had sent us. The print pointed north. 10 feet later, we found another pointing south. Then another pointing toward the trees. The tracks did not form a path. They formed a circle. At the center of that circle was a red trail blaze, painted on an oak tree. Hollow Creek Trail used blue markings. There had never been a red root anywhere near it. Ray stepped between us and the tree. "Don't touch that." Eli aimed his light at the paint. It was still wet. Something dripped from the bottom of the mark and disappeared beneath the bark. That was when my radio activated. I had not touched it. There was no call sign, only a man breathing. 3 slow breaths. Then Noah's voice said, "I can see your lights." Ray reached across my chest and switched the radio off. Holt told him to turn it back on. "That could be our hiker." "No." "You recognized his voice from a photograph?" Ray ignored him. He pointed downhill. "We keep moving. No transmissions unless they come from base." Holt was the ranking officer, but something in Ray's face made him agree. We walked another quarter mile. Then the message came through Mara's radio. Same voice, same calm delivery. "I'm below the red mark." Mara did not answer. A few seconds later, the voice added, "Cole told you not to." Everyone stopped. I had not said anything. Then Mara turned toward me, and in exactly the same tone we had just heard on the radio, she said, "Cole told you not to." Mara covered her mouth. She had not meant to say it. At least, that was what she told us later. She said the sentence had appeared fully formed in her mind, like a memory of something she had already said. Ray pulled the battery from her radio. "This place doesn't echo sound," he said. "It echoes decisions." Holt demanded an explanation. Ray finally gave us one. In 1998, a forestry crew had gone missing in the hollow. Ray had been part of the team sent to find them. For 3 days, they heard the missing workers over their radios. The voices gave locations, asked for water, begged the rescuers to hurry. Each transmission pulled the team farther away from the trail. They found 2 of the workers alive. Neither of them had used a radio. The third man was never found. He was Ray's younger brother. Ray said there were 2 rules. Never answer a transmission that does not use your call sign, and never follow a familiar voice uphill. The hollow was always lower than you thought it was. Whatever lived there wanted you to climb. No one asked what happened when someone broke the first rule. We did not have to wait long to find out. At 11:12, we found Noah's radio. It had been placed upright on a flat stone beside the trail. It was red, clean, and completely dry. Rain covered everything around it, but there was not a single drop of water on the radio. Its screen was lit. The battery indicator showed full power. Holt crouched beside it. Before he could pick it up, the speaker crackled. Mara's voice came through. "Don't let Eli answer it." Mara was standing behind us. She stared at the radio, then at Eli. 10 seconds later, she said the same words. "Don't let Eli answer it." This time, her voice was shaking. Ray kicked the radio off the stone. It landed in the leaves and continued transmitting. A woman began humming through the speaker. Eli went completely still. The humming lasted only a few seconds. Then the woman said, "Junior?" Eli's face changed. Not fear. Recognition. Ray grabbed his shoulder. "Do not speak." The voice repeated the name. "Junior, where are you?" Eli's father had called him Junior. His father had also been dead for 8 years. Eli whispered one word. "Dad?" Every radio in the forest answered at once, not just ours. Dozens of voices burst from the trees around us. Men, women, children, some distant, some so close they sounded as if they were standing between us. All of them repeated Eli's answer. "Dad? Dad? Dad?" Then every voice stopped. Ray closed his eyes. It knows where we are now. The fog moved in before anyone could respond. It did not drift through the trees. It came downhill like a wall. Within seconds, I could no longer see Holt, though he had been standing 5 feet away. Mara caught the back of my jacket. Someone else grabbed my left arm. I assumed it was Eli. Then Eli spoke from somewhere in front of me. "Cole? Who's holding you?" The hand released my arm. 5 long impressions remained in the fabric of my sleeve. They reached almost from my elbow to my wrist. We turned our lights in every direction. The beams reflected off fog. Nothing else. Then uphill from us, something stepped behind a tree. I only saw part of it. A shoulder too high above the ground. An arm that bent once at the elbow, and then seemed to bend again below it. Its head tilted toward us, at the same angle Eli had tilted his head when he heard his father. It did not have a face that I could see, but I knew it was listening. Ray told us to move downhill. We formed a line and kept one hand on the person ahead. No radios. No talking unless necessary. After several minutes, we reached the creek. A man was sitting against a white oak on the opposite bank. He wore a yellow rain jacket. Noah Vale. He was alive, barely. His boots were gone. His hands were wrapped around his knees and his eyes were fixed on the trees above us. Mara crossed first and checked him. No broken bones, no major injuries, but his throat was so swollen, he could only whisper. Holt asked where his equipment was. Noah looked at the red radio still hanging from Holt's hand. Then he shook his head. He pointed toward it and forced out 4 words. "That isn't my radio." Holt showed him the name written on the back. Noah Vale. Noah began crying. He told us he had lost his radio on the first night. Something had spoken from the woods in his sister's voice. It asked him to leave the trail and climb toward a light. When he refused, the voice changed. It became his own. For 2 nights, he had listened to himself walking through the forest, calling his own name, begging himself to answer. Noah said the voices were not trying to sound human. They were practicing. Each time someone responded, they became better. Ray asked Noah how he had survived. Noah pointed at the creek. Water makes it forget. Ray nodded as though he had expected that answer. We began following the creek south. The terrain was difficult, but the water gave us direction. For 20 minutes, nothing followed. Then the red radio turned on again. Holt had removed its battery. The empty compartment was still open, but the screen glowed. My own voice came through the speaker. Team 2, turn east. The creek is unsafe. Holt looked at me. I shook my head. The voice repeated the message, using my exact cadence. Then it added something I had never said. Ray already knows he isn't coming back. Ray stopped walking. Uphill, branches began snapping. Not one set of footsteps. Many, moving parallel to us. Each step arrived half a second after one of ours. We walked. They walked. We stopped. They stopped. Then Ray removed his radio and switched it on. He looked at me. Take them downstream. Do not turn around, no matter whose voice you hear. I knew what he intended to do. I told him there had to be another way. He smiled. It was the first time I had seen him smile that night. My brother followed my voice up there, he said. I think it's time I return the favor. Before I could stop him, Ray climbed out of the creek. He walked uphill with his radio held above his head. Ray Sutter to Hollow Creek, he called. You wanted an answer. Here it is. The trees erupted with voices. Hundreds of them. They called Ray's name. His brother's name. My name. Some laughed. Some cried. One of them sounded exactly like Ray. And above all of them, something large began moving through the trees toward him. Mara pulled me downstream. We carried Noah between us. Holt pushed Eli ahead. For the next mile, Ray's voice followed us from the ridge. Sometimes he shouted for help. Sometimes he told us it was safe to come back. Once, he used my childhood nickname. Only my mother and Ray knew that name. I nearly turned around. Then another voice whispered directly beside my ear. Good, Cole. It almost has you. I kept walking. We reached the search vehicles just before dawn. Noah survived. Eli left the unit 2 weeks later and moved out of the state. Mara never worked another night search. The county closed Hollow Creek Trail permanently. The official reason was another landslide. There was no landslide. Ray Sutter was listed as a secondary missing person. The report says he became separated from the team due to poor visibility. It says nothing about the voices, nothing about the red trail marker, and nothing about Noah's radio. Deputy Holt sealed that radio in an evidence bag at the station. I watched him place it inside a locked cabinet. 3 days later, it was gone. That happened 8 years ago. I stopped volunteering soon afterward. I moved 2 counties away. I never returned to Hollow Creek. And until this week, I believed whatever lived there had stayed in the mountains. 3 nights ago, I woke at 2:17 in the morning. There was a red radio sitting upright on my kitchen table. Clean, dry, its screen glowing in the dark. Noah Vale was still written across the back. I did not touch it. I did not speak. The speaker crackled, then Ray's voice whispered, "Cole, don't answer." I stood there until the radio went silent. That is why I am recording this. Because I think Ray was trying to warn me, and because 10 minutes ago, I heard movement in the hallway outside this room. The radio is sitting on the desk beside me now. Its battery compartment is empty, but the screen just turned on. It is calling my name. And from the hallway behind me, my own voice just whispered, "You already did."